Welcome to No Options with Ty Gipson, the show where life's toughest trials become the foundation for your greatest triumphs. Real stories, raw conversations, and the unwavering belief that you were built to overcome. Now, here's your host, Ty Gipson.
Hey guys, I am excited to be here today. As always, we always have some amazing guests, and again today we've got another one. And I've had the privilege to know Bretton Schulz for a while. We've kind of been on a couple of boards here and there, and worked with him through things in the school. And I know what a great person. But I wanted to share with everybody else today, kind of some of the stuff that Bretton Schulz is doing, and what an amazing person and family he has. So, Bretton, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ty. Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking the time, and I want to just start out, and we're going to jump right in because I want to talk about, you've been with the Georgetown ISD for 9 years, and played some different roles and throughout the district, and in the last couple of years, I want to talk real quick about this because you've had one role, but you stepped into an interim principal at Risharte High School, which a lot of people may not understand what Risharte is and that, but I want to, if you don't mind, will you kind of just jump right into that area for us and kind of explain where you're at so we can talk about it from there?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, so I've had the chance here in Georgetown, been an administrator since I joined back in 2017. And most recently, I was the Director of Career and Technical Education. We built this amazing building called the Future Ready Complex, where we get to house advanced level CTE programming, and also housed Risharte High School. Risharte is our academic alternative campus here in GISD, and it is designed for kids that at some point in time they were unmotivated, and we realized that we need to create an opportunity for them to be motivated so that they can graduate high school. So when we combined Risharte into the Future Ready Complex, we also had our principal back at that time, Rob Dyer. He left the district and went to go work for the Georgetown project here in town. And so that position was open. And so there was a natural or unnatural meshing of my two roles because of location. And so I got asked to become the interim principal at the school. So I've been doing that for the last 2 years. I've been getting to work with some incredible teachers and incredible students and watch them just thrive. It's been really neat to see those students that didn't really know how life was going to progress, and then have an opportunity like Risharte to help bring them along and watch them just thrive.
Well, it's funny, you say that these students that may have not been motivated, I think that's life, right? We all fall into areas sometimes where motivation is hard to find. And kudos to Georgetown ISD for finding a way to help them really find a spot. And you and I were just talking real quick prior to this recording, but they can take hours, they can make up all these hours that maybe a kid didn't realize he could even ever see on the other side of that wall, right?
Yeah, so Risharte has been around since 1991, and it's kind of gone through several iterations, but there is no typical student that comes to Risharte High School. Sometimes you have kiddos that are affected by some kind of medical need. Sometimes you have a student that had a bad relationship with school. Sometimes you got family problems. Sometimes you have students that's homeless. It really could be anything. And Risharte's that melting pot that gets kids together with a staff that cares a lot about them. Low student-to-teacher ratios, low class size, but also we accelerate the curriculum. And so we're a typical high school, they can earn 8 credits in a year. At Risharte, they can do 14 or more if the kid's really motivated outside of school and wants to do work there. And so it's a hybrid. Some of it's asynchronous work that the kids complete at their own pace. Some of it is the kids being taught by a teacher. And so it just depends on the class the student needs and being able to have them be successful. But yeah, it's an amazing place that Georgetown ISD they were ahead of their time back in 91 to have a place that was for students like that. And now Risharte is a model that other schools want to follow.
What a great deal. Yeah, I know. And what a cool thing though. I'm sitting there thinking about, man, how just to be, what a rewarding place to be too, to see these kids, walk across that stage. It probably never thought that day would happen. So
yeah, we had 122 graduates. It was our largest graduating class ever this year. And so it was pretty special to watch 122 kids walk across that. Some of them, they were good and they knew this day would come, but a lot of them didn't think that it would ever get there. And so that's pretty special. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, and first of all, thank you for what you do there. And now, you focus on the director of back in your main role, and I know you like I said, you've been in many positions, and there's a reason. I guess they're able to put you into interim positions when they need to, because you're just the right person for that stuff. But first of all, thank you for what you've done. But I want to talk a little bit, Britton, about, we talk on No Options, my show, we talk a lot about just adversity and overcoming adversity, and how do we sometimes we don't feel like we can get through it, and how powerful our mind really is, right? Sometimes, the good Lord is good, and we just got to we've got to sometimes believe in it and know that we're going to get through these things, and nobody can talk more about this probably than you and your family. You do so much in your career with Risharte and all these kids that parents drop their kids off, or kids come to you. But man, you've got your own story at home about adversity, and if you don't mind, share a little bit about Scout's story and some of the amazing things going on there.
Yeah, you bet. We'll start from the beginning, yeah? So February 1st, 2018, found Scout unresponsive in her, at that time it was like a convertible crib, right? Because we were halfway in, halfway out. She was 18 months old, and we were working to get her kind of transitioning into a bed. And so went to her room, she just wasn't being herself. She would open her eyes, but she wasn't speaking or saying anything to us. And so we rushed her to the hospital, and through some tests and everything, within over 2 hours, they transferred her from Seton Williamson down to Dell Children's, and they found through a CT scan that she had a brain tumor. And at that point in time, didn't know what it was, just knew that it was very large. So she was 18 months old. It was about the size of a baseball in her head. And they said that they needed to do surgery, and then they'd be able to tell us more. And so they scheduled surgery for that afternoon. I think so the whole day started around 7 a.m. and then she was in surgery before 6 p.m. She was in a pretty lengthy surgery, it's about 10 hours long, and pathology came back after the surgery. She made it through the surgery. Pathology came back a couple weeks later, and they had identified that it was a glioblastoma. And so it's a super aggressive grade 4 brain tumor that, it has a better outcome in younger people, but also it's not a good outcome for anyone. And so that first surgery was rough. A month later, they were getting ready to start radiation on the spot. And so they'd done an MRI to check for the path that they were going to follow in the MRI. And the tumor had grown back, same size, same exact place. And so she went in to have brain surgery number 2 the next day. After that brain surgery, the doctor told us that it wasn't a great surgery. They didn't feel like they got all of it, but they needed to start chemotherapy right away. And so she healed up for about a week, and then they started chemotherapy also there at Dell Children's. Did chemo for a total of 7 months. They did an MRI every month to check in on things and how they were going, and at 7 months they had seen growth, and so she went in for surgery number 3. And at that point in time, they said this will probably be her last surgery that insurance is going to pay for. So went in, did brain surgery number 3, and when they took out the tumor, sent it to pathology, it came back that it was scar tissue. And so that was pretty remarkable that it wasn't actually a tumor. And so our family was rejoicing. And they said, all right, the chemo's working, right? The plan is going as it's supposed to. And so we got the chance to continue chemotherapy for another 3 months at Dell Children's. And again, doing those checkup MRIs. MRI showed, now they knew the difference between scar tissue and tumor, and they showed that it was brain tumor. And keep in mind, Dell had already said, hey, insurance is probably ruling out a 4th surgery. So we started looking for other options. And thankfully, our doctor had been working with the doctors at St. Jude in Memphis, Tennessee since the beginning, and we got connected with Dr. Vanitsky at St. Jude. She reviewed our case and said, absolutely, when can you be here? And so the next day we were on flights and heading to Memphis, and she started on a trial drug called entrectinib. She did that trial drug for 3 months where our family lived in Memphis. This was in 2019. So we lived there in Memphis for those 3 months, came back home. She continued the trial drug at home for a couple more months, and that's whenever they did the MRI when we went back and they realized that the tumor was still growing even on that trial drug. And so St. Jude did brain surgery number 4. The surgeon came back there in Memphis. The surgeon came back out and he said it was a great surgery. He said, but I think if I could go back in, I could do even better, and I think there's some stuff I need to get out. And if I can do it, we can save her life. And so 2 weeks later, she had brain surgery number 5 there in Memphis. And that was it was a kind of a wild time, right, for her. She was starting to get older. She was turning 3.5 at that point and had started to realize things. She wasn't a baby who just kind of followed along with everything we told her to do. And so the recovery after that 5th brain surgery was rough. And then COVID hit. And so kind of changed everything from that point. It was really cool. 2020, she was home and she had some stuff called necrosis, which is a swelling of the brain, and her brain had gotten really big, and so she got put on a lot of steroids, and that might have been even worse than having all these brain surgeries, because if you know what a toddler on steroids looks like, it's like a bad joke or a punchline, right? But that's what she was. So she was a toddler on steroids dealing with brain swelling. That went away. We were able to get her started into kindergarten and watch her progress and learn. So she had some deficits. She had a right side weakness that developed from the surgery. She's had disabilities. She's had cognitive impairments that she's worked through and trying to overcome. But more or less had been a pretty healthy kid between not having cancer anymore and then having 5 brain surgeries. But the kind of everything changed last March. And so March of 2025, whenever she started having these seizures. And so they were unexplainable. We didn't know what was going on. They were showing up in her arm and that she was having little small twitches, and they just got worse and worse. So from March of 25 through December of 25, she spent 50 nights in the hospital and multiple ER check-ins, and she was on seizure medication. She was taking 3 different ones and an adult dose of each one, and pretty much just made her comatose. She was going to school, but kind of going through the motions. She wasn't herself. She didn't hardly ever smile. It was a rough 7 months. And so in December, on New Year's Eve, they did brain surgery number 6 and did something called a hemispherectomy. They were able to go in and remove half of her brain, so separate the 2 hemispheres and remove the part that is negatively affected all these all these seizures, and be able to, they said if they can disconnect it, they can stop the seizures, but her body's gonna have to relearn how to work. And so I remember thinking when I was told that, we're like, you want to do what? You want to split the brain in half? That doesn't make any sense. But they did, and sure enough, she has not had a seizure since New Year's Eve this past year. She had a long uphill battle. She went to therapy daily for about a month and a half, didn't go to school, and once she got back into school, still went to therapy 4 times a week. She struggled on being able to have that short-term memory. She struggled, the same thing with those cognitive deficits. She struggled physically. Her physical strength actually got weaker after the surgery, and those right side impairments didn't get better. But now, like you talked about, by the grace of God, right? Our family firmly believes in Exodus 14:14 and said, the Lord will fight for you. You got to do is be still. And so that was an opportunity for Scout to have God fighting for her and for her to be able to push through. But being still doesn't mean you don't do anything, right? It just means that allowing God to be there. And so I think this last time with these seizures and this last surgery was truly where she learned, like you talked about, that adversity and how to be a fighter. And man, it was crazy. It was a wild time. Yeah, it's a lot.
Man, well, first of all, what an amazing story. I mean, I can't even imagine what you and your family, have been through. But man, what a courageous story. And I hope people can understand. I mean, Scout, man, I don't know. You talk about a fighter. I think she may be at the top of the list as the fighter. She needs one of those belts. I mean, she is, what a fighter she is. But I will tell you, Bretton, I mean, that is an amazing story in a lot of ways. I mean, I know it's been really challenging for her, right? I mean, I can't imagine what all she's been through. But as a parent, you and Haley have been able to, obviously Haley's there with her full time, and then you obviously have been there trying to juggle a lot as well. But I mean, what would you, I mean, other than just our true faith, what are some things that's just helped you through, you and your family through these times?
Yeah, no, it's huge. So family is one, having a family that loves each other and relies on each other. We have a son, Samson. He is 2 years older than Scout. And I always say, like, he's going to make the best husband one day because he's incredibly empathetic. He's kind. He's gentle. He's just a nice human being who could literally get punched in the face by Scout and would let it happen because he'd never hurt her. And then Haley, she did stop working and stay home with Scout, and she's back to work now and being able to be a part of it. But man, it has been our family of four, that tight, immediate family, and just watching the way that we support one another through everything's been huge. That family piece goes to extended family between my parents and Haley's parents and brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, everybody in between, being able to be there and support. That's been huge for us too. Our faith has been really important as we've gone through, and not just our faith in Christ, but also like that faith family, right? And relying on our church to be able to carry us through those times. And then our community has been so critical. GISD, I'll never work in another district because of the way that this school district wrapped us up and has helped us get to where we are. It's just been absolutely incredible watching it through. So yeah, family, faith, and definitely community.
That's awesome. I mean, but it takes, it takes that, people to surround you. But I'll tell you the thing that really just keeps kind of coming out to me is the fight, the word fight, because I mean, the family has to really battle. And we talk about a lot of, how important it is to sometimes where we find strength we don't realize we even have. But the thing that I wanted you to, if you don't mind touching on, and you mentioned it briefly a while ago, Scout's gone through that last surgery, number 6, which is incredible that she's had that many already. But tell them some of the good news you were just talking about a while ago. To see some of the tell us the latest, that some of the things that on Scout.
Yeah, man. So the 6th surgery really did it kind of rocked everybody, and we were all trucking along thinking that everything was fine, and then all of a sudden seizures happened. It was before, we didn't have time to be scared because it was just thrown at you. And then this one, we knew what was coming and we could see it. And that was just the really scary part. Are we doing the right thing? Are we going to make the right choice? But the crazy time was this time Scout knew what was happening, right? And so, she's 9. And so she understood everything that was going on. She understood they were going to do a surgery, and we were a little bit guarded. We didn't quite tell her the full details of what they were going to be doing, but we did tell her it was going to be painful, and it was going to be a long recovery, right? Because they had told us it could take even up to a year when it happened. And some of the horror stories of when they first told us about the surgery was she may be paralyzed from the waist down. She may not be able to eat. She may not be able to swallow. And we just won't know these things until they wake up, because they don't know which side of the brain is controlling what for her. And so they said that she may not be able to speak. And so whenever they did that surgery on New Year's Eve, and I remember they kept her under for 2 days in a controlled coma. And then when they woke her up, getting to hear her talk, and that was huge. And then just watching her and her tenacity of saying, I want to be back, right? I want to get back to where I was. She loves football, right? And the first thing she wanted to do was throw a football. And so Samson got a football in the hospital from like one of the little carts that they push around. And so she got the thing. It was like 5 days post-surgery. He hates her. She literally has, a massive scar on the side of her head and everything else. And she got that football and threw it across the room and like overthrew Samson. We were like, there it is, right? That's our girl doing things and excelling. But man, from that point, she has literally met every time that they've set a goal for her, she surpassed it. And if there's been a tech point or if there's been a time, she's able to move past it. And she had to do a few things before she could get out of the hospital, and she got out a week ahead of time. She had to go and do her therapy, and when she had it, so she had a right side weakness that developed from that first surgery. They think there was a stroke due to the tumor back in 2018, and that's what caused her to have that right side disability. And so when they did this latest surgery, it caused that right side to get weaker. And so she worked a lot on getting the strength back there. And a lot of that was affected on the hand and on the foot. But one of the goals they had for was that she'd be able to hold a ball with both hands. And so her hand doesn't work like yours and mine, like with the wrist. And so like she can't close her fingers open and close on command as easily as we could. But before she graduated from her intensive therapy, she was able to pick up a ball and push it, right, with both hands. And they said that was like a year-long goal, right? And she did it in a month and a half afterwards. So that was pretty remarkable. Yeah, and then she got back into school, and after she got out of intensive therapy, they told her she was going to do half days because she'd get tired out, and she did her first half day, and my mom went to go pick her up from school that day, and she said, I want to stay. I'm not doing this. I want to be with my friends. And so, sure enough, she stayed and never did a half day after that.
No.
You know, and you think about the trauma that her brain went through and everything else that she did, it was remarkable. To where now this summer, she's on a swim team, and she competed this last Saturday at her first swim meet, and she even beat a couple kids in her age group. And so it is incredible to watch, like, her just grit and drive that she has. She knows that, like, she's got tough things in life, but she also looked at me the other day and said, Daddy, I'm truly happy. And I'm like, what more could you ask for, you know?
Wow. I mean, what an amazing, I mean, that story that Scout is swimming in is just got to be such a joy for you and Haley to watch and see. But man, something we can all learn from is Scout's determination. Holy cow. I mean, you know, we think sometimes our day-to-day challenges are there. And I think that's something good that we talk about, right? I mean, if somebody can just learn from these interviews that we're doing, and this one's definitely we can all learn from, you know, that, you know, every day is a bonus, right? Every day that we're here, it doesn't matter who we are. You know, don't pass on today, because let's make the most of today, because tomorrow we never know. And that goes for anybody. And I think Scout's been a great, you know, example to us all that, you know, we can push through, we can get through some tough times, and a lot of our times are not even nothing near what Scout's going through. So what a blessing that she's been to all of us, because of just showing us what she's able to do. Now, Bretton, what are some ways that you mentioned the community is helping others? Is there anything that we can still do? What is going on? Is there a foundation? Is there something? What's happening out there?
Yeah, man. So there's a couple things. So I would say, like, first thing is awareness, right? And so we've got a Facebook group called Scouts Army that I always tell people to follow. And it's just where we go on and post updates about Scout and her life and her story. Hopefully that can encourage other people. One of the coolest things is we had somebody about a year ago let us know. I've never met them before. They came to a thing. We do something called a cancerversary for Scout. And it's like the anniversary of her getting cancer, right? I was saying she's still here, she beat it. And they came, and we never met them before. And she said, I became a Christian because of Scout, right? And because of y'all's story and because of Scout, I became a Christian. We're like, that's the coolest thing. So yeah, so just awareness, I think that's huge. And then there's a couple other things that, like, we love to do. One, we love St. Jude, and we love being a part of St. Jude. We love fundraising for St. Jude. Scout got to be a part of the St. Jude Austin golf tournament last week and get to help start the golf tournament. She got to ring her bell there, get to go to the galas, and then every year our Scouts Army team, we go and do the St. Jude marathon in Memphis. And so you can do everything from a 1K all the way to a full marathon, but our team is on track this year to raise over $100,000. And collectively, I think we're at $900 and something thousand so far that's been raised for St. Jude. And I 100% believe that without St. Jude, Scout wouldn't be here. And so we're indebted to that hospital. I'll do anything I can. I help serve on the patient family advisory to the board and be a part of that too with the St. Jude folks. And then locally, we have a group here called GISD Goes Gold. And GISD Goes Gold is a nonprofit that was started by moms that are educators in the district. And they wanted to create something that would be there for the kids in Georgetown ISD whenever there'd be, like, the unfortunate time that a kid would get cancer. And so they created a nonprofit They exist to be able to give funds to somebody on diagnosis, on relapse, unfortunately on bereavements, and then also be able to scholarship the student and siblings for college, whenever that gets to happen in their life. And so GIC Goes Gold has been amazing. My wife's a part of that on the board and has just loved getting to pour into the kids in the community in a formal way, right, for the kids in Georgetown ISD as a way we can give back. So it was great to work with the Education Foundation on trying to get this started and become a thing. But man, GIC Goes Gold has just been absolutely incredible for the kids in Georgetown ISD. So yeah, St. Jude and GIC Goes Gold, those are our two big kind of philanthropies that we choose to support on the fundraising side. And then Scouts Army is our easy way to stay connected with Scout, our family, and the story that she's got to tell that I feel like it's just in the beginning phases now.
That's awesome. What a story for all of us, though, to follow. If you're not following Scouts Army, please do, because I think that's what a just a daily dose of some encouragement. I mean, just to read that some, right? I mean, but also St. Jude's, as we all know, has always done some amazing things. But when you can hear a story right here, and someone you know and someone you've heard from, it's just amazing to hear those stories. But I tell you, the Go Gold, the GISD Go Gold program is unbelievable. I've seen it a couple times. I've been to events where they're at, and let me tell you, it's really cool. So thank you guys for what you're doing there, Bretton, on all that. And but I'll tell you, in closing, Bretton, is there anything you would leave the group with? Just some encouraging words of anything that just that you would want to share?
Yeah, so my favorite thing that Scout always says is, when I say, Scout, what do you want to tell people about cancer? And she says, cancer is hard, but kids are stronger. And I firmly believe that God gave kids, and specifically my Scout, the ability to push past the hard thing. And literally the thing that, this is the life we wanted, right? This is the life that we've prayed for. This is everything that we've wanted for years, to be in this place with a healthy daughter and a healthy family. And there's easy times that we can look at it and say, I wish we had X or Y. But really what matters is we're here and now, and we're doing everything the way that our family's choosing to do it, right? And we're here for each other. We lean on each other. We fight for each other. And Scout might be the biggest fighter of all. But she doesn't let anything get her down. She just pushes through it and goes. And so I think if the biggest thing is there, just know, there's always going to be something, right? And it's just your choice how you've got to go and respond to it. But do it like Scout and be stronger than it all.
I love that. What a great quote, though. I love that. Cancer is hard, but kids are stronger. Is that the right quote?
Yeah, cancer's hard, but kids are stronger.
Cancer is hard, but kids are stronger. I love that. I think we ought to write that one down. All of us put that on a post-it. Remember that. Well, Bretton, I can't thank you enough, man. And just for sharing. I mean, like I always say, if we can help one person, if we can connect, but I really believe you connected with a lot here, and just in general life, guys. I mean, just when we think it's tough, there's always stories. We can always remember Scout and her strength and her encouragement of pushing through. So thanks for sharing with us again, Bretton. And I will tell you guys, if there's ever anything we can help with on the No Options, reach out to me. There are options. You can reach out to me. And if there's questions that we want to ask Bretton, if you have something from this episode that you want to talk about, connect with me. I'll make sure we can connect with Bretton and get questions answered. So I just want to thank you again, Bretton, and man, have a good one. And please give our hugs to Scout and your family. So thanks again.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ty. I appreciate it.
You bet. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to No Options. If this episode spoke to you, please take a moment and leave a review. And more importantly, please share it with someone who may need to hear it. You can find more stories, resources, and ways to connect over at my website, tygipson.com. And that is Gipson with a P, TYGIPSON.com. Remember, no matter where you are, your story isn't over yet. if you live like you have no options. I'll see you next time.
You know Ty Gipson is an entrepreneur, a relentless survivor. Did you know he's also a powerhouse speaker? After overcoming 3 transplants and juvenile diabetes, he built thriving businesses with one mantra: no options. Ty transforms adversity into action. His keynotes ignite audiences with real-world resilience and 30-plus years of sales mastery. Are you ready to inspire your team? Book Ty Gipson today as your next speaker. You can call 512-944-4780 or head over to tygipson.com. That's Gipson with a P. It's time for your event to share the motivation that is no options.